This game had over 500 million players. It wasn't Fortnite. It wasn't Minecraft. It was Among Us. But just as quickly as it rose to the top of the world, it disappeared almost overnight. This is the story of how Among Us became the biggest game on the planet and how it all fell apart. Believe it or not, Among Us was released in 2018 by a tiny indie studio called Sloth. At first, almost nobody cared. Some days, fewer than 50 people were playing online. The developers even thought about quitting. It was a simple game, really simple. You were a crewmate on a spaceship. You had to complete tasks, fix things, and survive. But one or more players were imposters trying to kill everyone. On paper, it didn't sound exciting. But in 2020, everything changed. The world went into lockdown. People were stuck at home, craving entertainment and social interaction. And that's when Twitch and YouTube streamers discovered Among Us. Pokimane played it, Ninja played it, PewDiePie played it. Suddenly, millions of people wanted to be sus. Memes exploded, TikToks flooded the internet. Everyone was laughing, arguing, blaming friends, and chaos ruled. The genius of the game wasn't in its graphics or mechanics. It was in the human drama, the tension when someone was lying, the panic when an emergency meeting was called, the joy of catching an imposter. Every match was unpredictable. Every game was a story. But let's pause for a second. Think about this. A game released 2 years earlier, ignored for years, suddenly becomes a worldwide phenomenon? That's rare. Extremely rare. It's like lightning striking twice, except this time, it hit millions of homes at once. By late 2020, Among Us had become a global phenomenon. Over 500 million monthly players. Yes, 500 million. It was played in homes, offices, schools, even by politicians. Speaking of politicians, U.S. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez streamed the game on Twitch. Over 400,000 people watched live. Can you imagine that? A tiny indie game reaching millions of people worldwide, including lawmakers. The developers were stunned. They were working on a sequel, Among Us 2, but the original became so massive that they canceled it. All their focus went to maintaining the first game. But here's where the story takes a twist. With success came challenges. Hackers flooded the servers, cheaters ruined games. The game that was once perfect for friends started to lose its charm. The gameplay loop, do tasks, find imposter, eject, repeat, started to feel repetitive to millions of players. Meanwhile, new games began to steal attention. Fall Guys was trending. Valorant was booming. Fortnite and Minecraft updates drew players away. The world had moved on, faster than anyone expected. By 2021, the hype had faded. Lobbies that once filled instantly were now empty. The streams stopped trending. The memes became old news. But even as the numbers fell, the stories kept spreading. People shared their funniest Among Us moments online. The sus moments, the betrayals, the near escapes. They became part of gaming culture. Fans made animations, cosplays popped up, merchandise, stickers, fan art. People loved the game not just for playing, but for being part of something bigger. And then there's the community chaos. Remember the times when players would completely lie convincingly? Or when groups would accuse the quiet player instantly? Those clips went viral. Streamers reacted in real time, screaming, laughing, shouting, "He's sus! No, it wasn't me!" These moments became iconic, replayed endlessly on TikTok and YouTube. The beauty of Among Us was how it captured human psychology. You could analyze your friend's behavior, watch them sweat, panic, or overthink. Even simple mistakes could expose a player as an imposter. Every match was a story. Every story was unique. So why did it disappear so fast? Because Among Us was never built for this kind of success. It was a small party game for friends. It exploded beyond its limits. And when the hype ended, so did the player base. Yet even though it disappeared, its legacy remains. The memes, the slang, the chaos. Sus, venting, third imposter. It taught the world a lesson. You don't need amazing graphics, massive budgets, or huge studios to make a game that can unite millions. For one unforgettable year, Among Us brought people together. It sparked laughter, drama, and competition. It made people suspicious of their friends, and yet brought them closer. And even though the game is no longer the king it once was, it will never be forgotten. Among Us, the tiny indie game that conquered the world only to vanish almost overnight. And maybe that's the beauty of it. A small game, capturing millions of hearts, leaving a permanent mark on gaming history forever. Even today, people still reference it. Streamers, gamers, fans. Among Us will always be remembered as the game that united the world in a chaotic, hilarious, unforgettable experience.